Hi everybody, and welcome to my fifth and final installment of making an ocean aquarium bead. I am going to be finishing up the bead in this video and doing some evening out encasing and also some surface decoration. And of course, this isn't all you can put in your aquarium beads. You can put a lot of other elements in besides the ones I've showed you here. So just an FYI. And so here's a sped up video, and this is a little overlap from the last section where I'm encasing around the jellyfish, and I'm also adding more encasement to try to even out the bead a little bit more and not have it so off-center and distorted in shape. And so that's what I'm doing here. And I'm just adding clear to the parts that need more clear to make it even. And you really don't want to marver this section at all when you're melting in the glass. You basically just want to use gravity and the heat of the flame to shape your bead. Because if you start marvering and pushing on the bead to try to shape it, you can distort the elements that are inside. And so that's a very crucial part to making these, is you really don't want to push on them and distort anything that's underneath that clear. So for the most part, at least until you have it fairly even on its own, you really don't want to marver this bead. So just an FYI there. And so as you can see, one side is a little rounder and sticking out from the mandrel than the other. And here's a close-up. So there's the nautilus. It's all kind of glowing still. And there's the jelly and the anemone on the other side. And that section there is a little more flat. It's not rounding out and sticking out from the mandrel like the nautilus side is. So I'm going to add a little more clear there. And so just another FYI on these beads. So instead of adding a jellyfish or a nautilus, I could have actually painted on a fish and then encased it to have a fish inside. I know a lot of people do like koi fish and such. So it's whatever you want to add in this bead. I mean, there's pretty much an unlimited array. You could put an octopus inside or a stingray, whatever you want. It's all up to you. So I'm pinching out a bubble that was really close to the surface there. You can do that too if it's close enough to the surface. And so I'm just going to add a little more clear to the one top side because it's a little skinnier than the other side. And right here, I'm going to marver the top there a little bit. There's really no elements in there to get smushed, so it's pretty safe to marver that a little bit. Just that top edge. And my bead release was coming off the top too, so I'm tearing that off out of screen. Sorry about that. But now you can see my mandrel's naked on the top. But yes, if your bead release starts cracking or flaking off, you can definitely take the rest of the bead release off the outside of your mandrel so it won't stick to your bead. And so I'm using gravity trying to make that glass move towards the bottom. So I have a nice tapered hole there. And so here's the bead without any surface decoration, with all the elements floating inside there. It's pretty cool. But I'm going to add some surface decoration. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my little stringer, the barnacle stringer, and I'm just going to use the straight rod. So I am not going to use marini chunks. I could have actually clipped this off prior and actually had the little pieces of marini in the right lengths that I wanted, but you can also do it this way. So it's just another way to do it, where I actually just stick them on and then cut them off after I have them stuck on. And so of course I sped this up again so you don't have to watch all of this. So I just put 3 there, and I'm heating and flattening a little bit, heating and flattening. And all those lines and stripes actually come together in the center. So it kind of looks like a little star or something in the center with the colors. And so I have 3 little barnacles sticking out of the bottom. And I'm going to do the same at the top. I'm going to put 3 little barnacles at the top. So you just heat the surface, stick it in, or if you had Marini, just stick on a Marini. Do the next one. So I do 3 in a row, and then I flatten them after they're all on the bead. And then the third one, stick that in. And then I'm just going to flatten them all up there. And tap them down until you have them nice and flush with the surface. You don't want any undercuts. You want to melt it in enough so there's no undercuts between the barnacle and the clear glass below it. And I had 2 that kind of almost melded together, so I'm separating those out again with my X-Acto blade. I love my X-Acto blade. It's great for doing stuff like that. And now I'm going to add a little bit of raised seaweed on the surface. And so I'm going to put 2 little sections there, 2 little separate sections of raised seaweed, one on either side. And so of course you don't have to do this. You don't have to have any raised elements on it. But I have done some where I didn't have any raised elements on the bead itself, but at the top of the bead I actually put a little octopus, and I had its tentacles like wrapping around the bead towards the bottom. So basically there's, you know, a variety of different things you can do here. Or you can just leave it smooth and just have a smooth rounded bead and without any elements sticking out of it. So it's all up to you of how you want it. And just make sure everything's nice and melded in. And here is the final bead, if I can get some light on it. So there's the Nautilus there, and there's some seaweed in the background with the surface decoration seaweed. The barnacles on the top there, more seaweed, and back to the Nautilus again. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed.